you as a person, so much has happened to you since, you know, you made the album when you was living in a flat. And then your life just kind of just went from one level to another. And it just, after the album, your life has been
It's not been the same, has it?
25 years of ending up in Thailand. I remember when I got, I don't know if it was Menace or you gave me because that's what another thing you used to do, which was amazing. What you used to give everyone dub plates with their own insignias on.
I used to carve them.
You used to carve different kinds of shit in it. And
I'd love to see one of them one day, Fab, because I know he's getting a scalpel and carve the acetate out.
Wow. You said to me, "Oh my God, it took me ages to carve this," and I met you in Oxford Street because you was like, "Fab, I've really got to go," and you was in a Ford Fiesta, a blue one.
It was Scotty's.
Yeah, was that Scotty's?
Scotty's Ford Fiesta.
And you were literally like, "I'm so fucking broke. I'm so broke at the moment." It's, you know, but it wasn't like I'm so broke as in. It was kind of like, look, it is what it is. It's really funny. It is what it is. But I know this album is going to change my life. I know this is going to change my life. And it's weird because we all heard it. And, you know, you got to remember Groove. Groove was, you know, Groove's Groove. And Groove.
Right. Yeah.
When he's told me about you, this was at the Hippodrome. And he went, "Oh yeah, I want to introduce you to someone." I was like, and Groove, when it comes to artists, he doesn't.
It was at the Hippodrome. Yeah, hang on a minute. Yeah,
it was at the Hippodrome. It was. He told me about you, and he gave me a copy. You gave him a copy of that Roughage Crew white label to give to me.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was playing, I looked around, I was like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" And I went, I said, "Groove," and you were just staring at me, and I was like, "Groove, who's that guy over there?" He went, "Oh right, yeah. I want to introduce you to this guy. It's Goldie." And I went, "But who is he?" He went, "He made that tune, you know, that white label tune." I was like, "Oh right."
Ajax Project.
And he went, "He's a bit mad. He's a little bit mad." He went, he's a little bit mad, but he's cool. He's cool. He might do your head in a little bit. So I was like, right.
I'm still doing it now.
And then he brought me over there. And
no one knows why you swerved the phone.
From that moment, it was kind of like, okay. No, you just talked. You were so excited. And you just talked for 10 minutes. And then I remember I had to go back on. And I was like, "Listen, mate, I've got to get back on the mix." And you was like, yeah, no, cool. And I said to Groove, he's really intense. And he went, "Yeah, but he's something else." And Groove never says that. He never ever says things like that, ever. He doesn't. He went, "There's something about this guy." Because, you know, Groove, intense people, Groove can't handle it.
Yeah. I don't know, he tolerated me for years. I used to call him. I used to think, I spent days thinking, shall I call him 0831? Remember the number? And I'm like, I shared the story with him, which you'll hear, which is very funny. But for me, and I've got to be really honest, it's all, when I look at it now, it was all a trauma, man. My childhood was fucked up. And it just got me to this place where I'm a professional child. My whole life has been about being a professional fucking child, because that's really what it's about. For me, and if it's Peter fucking Pan, whatever it is, yeah, I've got that mad side, and who wouldn't, but the music is the healer. And I think, you know, there's all those stories, but you know what? When Mum died, and I just finished 2 gigs, and I drive to Wharves with Fritz. I was knackered on 2 gigs. I got back at 6 in the morning. She's on the way out. I'm oh fuck! I'm gone.
Yeah.
And you know, going into the chapel of rest, and the guy went, "I knew you were going to be here. Do you want a cup of tea, Gold?" I went, "Yeah, mate." She's in number 7. And I've gone in and I've opened the doors, and there she is, and it's this white slab, and it's just her, and it's like just stretched skin over. And I thought, going to honour what I told her I would do, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen to Mother. And the idea of what it was made for was for that moment in time.
Moment.
So for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
when anyone wants to question whatever this idea of music is, that was when that record cut loose. That's when that record was that was what it was made for. It was to cut this and go, see you, that's it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah.
And it makes more sense because I couldn't listen to it for years. And it's still the greatest black opera I've ever made of what a child is pulled away from his mother. However, the upside of it was that the decoy was made. Timeless was made to create the bumper, the buffer. Leave him the fuck alone, because whatever if you hate him and you want to call him this, you want to call him that, you want to say whatever the fuck you want, ask any fucking engineer. I'll bend you inside out because it's the complexity. I get it. You could be borderline narcissistic, whatever you want to call it, self-indulgent. If it's this what it takes, because my life was not my own and this music is mine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's shared because it's all of ours. You know, so that album on the forefront of what it was made for, Timeless as a coming of age, it served its purpose. And it's serving its purpose now, you know, in December, comes back out. And I'll draw a line underneath that. And I'll go back into whatever the fuck hole I come from to do something else. But I think it was I felt very lonely with all of that, you have to understand. There's a certain...
Yeah, no, you did seem, but then what you did, I remember you gave me a painting as well. I think it was called Aquafish. You gave me a painting, when you gave me chemistry, you gave me a painting.
I can't remember
You
that.
gave me a painting, bro, and it's what it is, it's on a black background, and it's just a yellow, it looks like a waveform, but it's a fish, and it's green, lime green and blue. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it and show it to you.
Oh, no.
And it's called Aquafish, and it's just like you went here, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's abstract that I done. It's just, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But and I went, why is it Aquafish? And he went, I don't know. It's just the Aquafish. Like,
I always wanted to know when we did that campaign, and there's a picture of me naked holding a fish. Maybe it's because of that, you know.
Maybe it's because of that. It could go back to that. And you was kind of like, and I was like, what do you mean? And I went, what does it mean though? Like, it's amazing, but it's kind of like black background, blue and green.
I know.
And it kind of looks like a fish. And you went, Fab, I don't know, but it's for you. And I was like, wow. And then you gave me, it was part of a present with chemistry. It was a version of chemistry that I don't know if anyone else has got it.
Weirdly enough, I found the dub version of chemistry of what I wrote the song to for Diane. And it's the most naughtiest version of chemistry. I spoke to Steve Digital about it.
I think it's that, because you forgot what you gave.
It starts with a hi-hat and there's no vocal on it. And it's as raw as you like, and it goes through the whole. It's just what it is.
I think it's that version. And he was like, Fab, you know, I've done it for you.
It might have been that.
And that's what you did, and you know, it was. I tell you what, it was a magical time, because also you got to remember what was great is because you're so fucking competitive. There was also Photech. There was also all of these motherfuckers making fucking tunes, man. And let's not forget what was spurring you. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you what, everyone was on the same level to a certain degree. Dillinger, Photech, until you made Terminator. When you made Terminator, we was at the Amnesia House wedding. Mickey.
Oh my God, Mickey Linus, Chris from Music Power said, "Yeah, sweet, guest list sorted." It was my crowning moment. I drove all the way there with Chris going, "Yeah, wicked, great stuff. I'm getting on him smash." We get there, and I can't get in. It's embarrassing, and we hear Terminator in the distance. and he's getting married on stage.
You wasn't in there.
Couldn't get in.
No. Well, what happened? Groove, because Groove did the actual wedding. The wedding was at about 10 o'clock.
Right.
And he was like, I've got to go to London and I'm coming back. And when he went to London, you gave him Terminator.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have it when he left.
I had to meet him to give it to him.
That's right.
And
he came back and he went, bro, there's 2 tunes I've got. The first was a version of Unity by Kevin Saunderson. And he started with that. Free. And he started with that. And then he stopped it and he played Terminator. And it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And everyone was dressed up. And I always remember everyone was dressed up in kind of like really dressed up in suits and shit like that on the stage. Because we all had to dress up. And we were all really dressed up. I had these stripy fucking trousers on with a black satin shirt, right? And I was dripping with sweat. And he played Terminator. And I've never been, I've never heard anything so alien and so different. When you did the time stretch, because you were telling me about time stretch, and I remember once you completely fucking lost me. One day I was at your yard and you was telling me what you wanted to do. You wanted, instead of everything to sound Mickey Mouse, you were inventing, it was like you was inventing like the atom. You wanted to invent a way of stretching time, time stretch. And it was all about time. With you, it was all about time. And I want to do this thing where I crush everything together. And then I speed it up and I slow it down and I move it around.
Without changing speed, it was about the pitch and not the speed, yeah.
Without changing speed, right? And so when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, he's done it. He was talking about doing this. He's fucking done it. And when I heard, and then it got rewound like 7 times and it was
fuck.
That tune.
By the time he got rewound for 7 times, probably back in London by that point.
You were back in London by that time. But then there was this look in Groove's face. And another thing, then the next day, and this is a true story, we did Dreamscape in Milton Keynes, and Carl Cox, me and Carl Cox were standing up, and Groove played Terminator. Absolutely. Do you remember? This is the time of Happy Hardcore. I think we came on after Dougal and Psy and all those. It was kind of like, real fast, mad. He thought, right, I'm going to show you lot how to fucking play a tune, right, that you don't have to speed up. And he played Terminator. And Carl Cox went to me, it's over for me. I was like, what do you mean? He went, it's done. I'm done. I swear to God, this is the truth. He went, I'm done. And I went, what do you mean? He went, I can't do this no more. I was like, wait, but it looked like failure. He had this look on his face when he heard Terminator, and he was like, what is this tune? And I said, I said, we can get it for you. He went, yeah, but I don't know, like, what's going on. Like,
the change of music. It's so big.
Yeah, I can't get any of these tunes. And I'm going to start playing techno. And I was like, come on, fuck off.
No way.
And he went, I'm done. It's over for me. I'm going to go and start playing.
No way.
He probably owes you a little bit of money. Because that was it for him. And he
is that true? That's when it happened for you?
That's a true story. He heard Terminator and looked at me. He looked at Groove, played it either at the beginning or the end of his set, and he went, that is it. It's over for me. I'm done. I don't know none of the tunes Groove playing. And he went, what the fuck is this? And I went, it's Goldie. Like, and he was like, yeah, but when am I going to get this tune? He went, it's over, brother. He went, I'm going to start playing techno. I was like, come on, Carl. He was like, no, but I can't. I don't know. I can't get access to these tunes.
Wow. Well, but let's be honest about it. All of that music, I guess, a lot of people just couldn't get access to it. And I'll say it to anyone that makes this music, from D-Bridge to Marcus to Spirit to Digital, if you can make this music, Nookie, you can make it, and Calibra, you can make anything else. But the other way around, it ain't happening. And I said this to Groove, the only tune that was ever played in Blue Note that wasn't made by an English person that knows breakbeat, that got away with being authentic, was Jungle Back Out, Todd Terry.
Yeah.
And the only other one, the only other one was Ownership of You, and it was a 33 tune played at 45, and he was bugging the bass bin. Two guys, that's it. Those two tunes, I don't care what.
That was it. And you got to remember, Bugging the Basement wasn't originally, we sped it up.
That's what I'm saying. So, but the idea of how powerful the genre is, and I guess fast forward, look, let's I don't want to just keep it right here on time. I think the idea now and fast forwarding, and especially in this lockdown thing, you know, they asked me about this DJing thing and about where we're going, and I'm like, I don't even know, because I kind of retired. And the idea of club culture doesn't happen in festivals unless it's pre-Rage. And the idea of when it was new and it was on the front of the Sun and people were rebellious, and it was, and of course the national bill came and stopped us gathering, and it's back to clubs, we will die. In fact, club culture is what made the culture what it is now. But then with all these clubs closed and closing, on top of all of this, culture doesn't live in festivals, and it won't. And you know, you go and see your favourite for an hour. But what we witnessed was, I guess, like the Motown era for Motown in a sense, I think. Or like blues in the 40s, or, you know, when you look at Bo Diddley and you look at all those things, what happened in time, and it's with the music itself. I found it really important that you guys have been at the forefront, but you stayed with D&B. You know, like Cole's gone, I don't understand this, I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I give up on it because I've got to put so much work into doing that music. For example, not only the producers, the DJs putting so much. What about the guys that have got to do all the eclectic editing to make sure it's edited so that it's showing off with that guy to make it the best? And when you look at what we were doing with layering, and then all the way down here, you got Calibre using 5 sounds and killing everyone.
Yeah.
The simplicity of Calibre, the complexity of Photek. Completely, I mean, Photek more so in terms of what we were when we were about. When it came to editing, Photek was at the forefront of it.
Oh, come on.
You couldn't
Come on,
not. I mean, Rob had to really sharpen his blade, but the blade that was closest to him to recognise that was Mark and Digo. As long as you stay in Mark and Digo, and of course that was why it's like Call for the Cavalry. I needed Mark and Digo for Still Life. I needed them for Angel, because it was, you know, those tracks. I couldn't just do it with Rob because he wasn't an artist in his own right that could edit like that. So you can always go like this, Rob. Listen to this. Or listen to this, or what I'd heard at Rage, I come back and go, right, it's got to be like this, you know, we've got it, you know, this is what it's going to be. And I think it was, you know, even down to fascinating thing with the footage that we found. The studio in St Anne's Court, I've got Mel Gaynor, where we got the studio from, Simple Minds, which was an era for me, Simple Minds.
Yeah, of course.
With the cans on, struggling with Dillinger at 33. He's struggling with the edits. He's trying to follow, and he's like, oh, fuck. And that's a 33. So the idea of, you know, the reverse science with what these drum and bass guys had done, we all had to catch up. And I think Terminator gave me enough space between everyone to just get on with. It gave me a head start. I mean, it gave me a really big leap from a guy that is not an engineer, but a conceptual artist. That's different. Do you know what I mean? So Photek, we've got to thank those guys, really. I mean, to be honest, like things like Digital, the dirtiness of Jah, it's all down to those guys. The feel of it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's
Dillinger and even when then, you know, let's not forget the likes of Wax Doctor.
Oh God, yes.
Wax Doctor. Who I was saying the other day, people forget. Wax Doctor was the original Calibre. He was the original Calibre.
He was the original Calibre, yeah. You know what? I agree with you. I think that when Wax came on the label, and you know, when you look at Step, and you look at those, you know, when you look at those tunes, I mean, for me, and I think one of the other tunes that really kills me with Folk is Heat.
Heat. You know? Oh, Heat's the one. Heat's the one. Heat is the one, man.
Heat for me is like, it's like everything in that tune which Wax loved with Photek, what Photek did. He took the blueprint and went over there to try and do it over there. And he kind of did a bit of it like with Spectrum on the heads. But Heat was pre-heads. It was,
He is the one, man.
you know,
As you said, he took what Botech and he stripped it down and thought, I'm going to put my techno shit into it. And the last minute when he puts all them little techno drops in it,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just it's insane.
Well, look, I mean, the only thing, I can say is I'm so sorry for stealing Pulp Fiction from you because it had to be done.
All right.
We haven't got many people to talk to. Obviously, Scotty, for me, was my right-hand man and very instrumental in my influence of music, like ridiculously. Scotty's the last, really, because everyone else is peripheral, and Scotty, that journey with me and Scotty, I mean, Scotty, and for two yin and yangs, me outspoken and Scotty very shy and quiet.
Yeah, quiet. Yeah.
But his influence, Dark Angel, changed my life. This is Deranged, turned me upside down and inside out. So everything that I did pre-Timeless was inspired by Scotty. Riding Like Scotty, for example, everything was around Scotty. And he's a god to me. He's always been a god.
Of course.
And, the idea when there was this big little uproar while I was sitting on the island in Thailand, when I've gone, you know what? Dillinger, Caliber, the opposites, everything else in between is us. I mean, what you want about photos? We know that. But the idea of seeing people like gods in this industry, which became an industry, there's no other genre where we look at people in the same way. You can have people look at with fans, but with drum and bass as a musical genre, I always felt that its potential was endless, and in the same way that graffiti changed art, the world of art, from contemporary to whatever, the way that graffiti changed the art form.
Of course.
Bass music changed changed
Same thing.
forever. And at 4 a.m, when you're drawing out and you're in that zone, that Fabio zone, or Groove's in that zone, or Randall's in that zone, or Scotty's in that zone, or Davey's in that zone, you can't.
It's magical.
No one can understand it. It's
No.
not stale. It's that thing where at best you might get it on a record that's released that you'll get down the line. But I know that all the tunes that were broken in this music, when they broke, what they were put into and out of, week in, week out, the variations of it all, I'd like to think that I've been a good servant for the music.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm just really happy that you spent time out of your life to just where we are now. It's
let's also remember Metalheads. I mean, as a label, the Blue Note as a landmark in British culture. Anyone that went to Blue Note, I used to come out of Blue Note, and the same feeling that you get at. I remember when I watched Alien, the original Alien by Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
And I came out the cinema, and you come out and your senses have been so battered that you come out and reality and everything moving and daylight, it becomes this abstract. And that's what used to happen with, everyone forgets that Blue Note used to finish at 12, but it never felt like 12 o'clock at all. You came out and it felt like, have I just witnessed the end of the world? And I've escaped it, and I've come out, and this is apocalypse. And I felt that a couple of times, and especially when Ryder used to go in, and you used to be spinning around on the dance floor. You was the host of this club. You got to remember,
Right.
Man's got to remember. It's not like hosts nowadays. They're sitting down in the room counting up the money. You was the host, and you was fucking on your back doing fucking what, and pushing people out the way. What Groove was drawing back in the bass bin and mixing it with.
Just get to that deck. Just get to that. Even if I was upstairs
Get
entertaining,
there, man.
I just heard it coming in. If I'd hear you drawing space,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of the way! Like someone just died. It's like, where's it going? It's just going to reload that tune. I bet you any money. So, you know what I mean? And I mean, I remember seeing people getting red carded. Like you put your hand over that fucking deck and you ain't got ranks. You're getting your fucking head chopped off. You know what I mean? Like, are you mad? Because it was so intimate. It was so intimate. I mean, to be honest, but look, but you look at the era. I get that part of it, and I get that. We spoke a lot about Blue Note, so we got it covered. But when you look at what you did for Swerve and what you did at the end, I mean, I think at the end for me what you did in that period of time was you had Swerve was your like the stomping ground, and it was where you really came to your own, and where you championed Caliber, and where you got to dig in the crates, and like I said about going back to go forward, the stuff that you used to draw to pull to remind people that weren't going to rage because now it was a fad, it was fashionable to go out and listen to this music. There was all this stuff that you hadn't, that people hadn't even heard that you'd had for 5 years prior. That was now getting a revisit, in the same way that MCs were getting a revisit when it was jungle. But you know, I've got to say to people, the one thing,
Absolutely.
the one thing with Groove about speeding up breaks and everything else with Rage, but I always remember you said, G, it's concrete jungle music, mate. It's concrete jungle music. And people always go to me, well, there's no difference. So listen, it's not about jungle in the way that you might think it's jungle. For me, it was drum and bass and jungle. The jungle was the beginnings of this primal thing about these people in this inner city. And I get that. And of course, later on, we had this other aspect of jungle when it blew up, and it was all about MCs coming back on. And I get that. And that in itself is a beautiful thing. It's its own form with Skibbity and everyone else. It's the same thing. But what we had there was where I wasn't going to let a vocal enter the space of what that music was about. And I was called elitist, I was called elitist, I was called whatever. You know what? Call me what the fuck you want, but it ain't happening in Blue Note. And many an argument about, yeah, but Blue Note is Blue Note. Have you ever been? No, well, shut the fuck up then, because you ain't been there. You know, so
It was the purity, though, isn't it? There was the purity, man.
Such a purity. But I just want to finish off by saying that it's 25 years of this incredible piece of music that I can look at. Every track of every one of us is in there.
Yeah.
And we're all part of it. And you know, from Still Life Talking, you know, to all of these tracks that were like, it was just an amazing period of time. And just the reconnection of what we spoke about, whether it was Les McCann or Austin Peralta and all these great people, you know, this thing that's it's given us the most beautiful life, and we're very lucky to be here with it. So I can't thank you enough, Fabio.
No, and absolutely, and you know, my dad being in inner city life.
Oh God, let's not forget that. I mean, I roped him in.
Let's forget that, man. You know, that's a real. And my dad's always like, "Oh, that was Goldie. Am I all right?" I was like, "Yeah, it's all right." And he actually, when we just took that pause, I spoke to my dad briefly, and I said, "I'm doing a Zoom call."
No way.
Goldie. And he was like, "Oh, Goldie, yeah."
Dad, am I right? Am I right? No, am I right? No, Goldie, all right.
Am I right? But it's him on the telly, and you know, he's got the gold disc for Timeless in his front room.
Has he really?
He's got it in his front room, and I've never ever taken it down. I've left it there. Wow. He's got it next to a picture of him and my mother.
Wow.
And it's special because it's such a dynamic, the red and gold on this white wall, and he's got it there, man. And I could never take that down.
One right there.
Yeah, that one there.
That's my
and sometimes I feel to say to him, "Dad, you know what? What are you even doing with that?" But he will never. He's so proud of being in that video. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what's really strange? Laura, who's been amazing on the project over at London Records, when they first approached me about doing this project and about Goldie, you know, Timeless 25, the capsule, about having this thing with all this information that's going to go up and go down. I said to her, you know, the whole idea about the video and filming it in Paradise Club, and she went, you know what, we found the masters, and we've got to find out if the negatives are in good nick, and they've just remastered it. So it's gonna be out here on the site. December is the launch date.
Who shot that video?
It was Mike Lipscomb, and Mike Lipscomb, he went off to LA to be some big director, and Mike Lipscomb, we'd argue a lot because I never got a co-direct credit, and I always directed a lot of the video in the way that I wanted it. And you know, you think about it was the idea of Paradise Club, shooting it in there. We've got all the offtakes, which I haven't seen yet, of the setup inside Blue Note, and what was special about that was you know, seeing, you know, getting your dad into the video and he's sitting there with his friend, and you know what's really weird? The girl who picks up the needle and goes like that to the camera, she hit me up and said, I'm all grown up and I didn't realise I was in the video until my mum showed me, and I realised I wanted to reach out to you to say that I'm doing really well. I'm at
Oh,
college. And,
amazing.
you know, the amount of
Amazing.
people that the album touched, people that were in the video, and were involved in it. That's the other part that's quite special about how important the album was to certain people. Sound's Return was important to me, and really no one else. That's when it was important. It was like Goldie's lost his shit. I get that. You know, I knew that was coming. But the idea of Bowie and Gallagher, that's me. That's what I wanted as my person. But with Timeless as a coming of age album, it was everyone, and it was, you know, it's their get to point and their get off point. So I'll just finish off and say, listen, it's been, next stop is Doc Scott, and I am ever grateful for your inspiration. You and Ryder, it's just
You
unprecedented.
always show the love, man, and you always, no matter what happens, you always show us that love, and we really appreciate it. And I really appreciate it. And Timeless will go down, and I knew it would. I knew it would. I knew from the first time I heard it. I knew it was this blend of your life, and it was London, it was Wolverhampton, it was New York, it was Miami, it was all your ideas, it was you going through a madness, it was you living in a council estate, it was you being broke, it was your life to that moment, and it's lasted the test of time. It sounds better now than it's ever sounded, because you got to remember at the time it was a very abstract piece because it didn't sound like anything else. And 25 years later, it still doesn't sound like anything else. So it will go down even more than Blue Lines. Blue Lines is a great album, but it's nothing special. It's just Massive Attack.
I don't know. I do think that, listen, when you're inside it and you make it, I look at things in third party as an artist, because you're looking at a canvas. It's like you didn't paint it. And I think when the music's supposed to sound like you never made it, that's when it sits at its best. When it sounds like you didn't make it, and also it sounds like it already existed. But when you hear it for the first minute, you go, "This sounds like it exists, like it's supposed to be there and nowhere else." Does that make sense? And I mean, to be rated along Blue Lines, I mean, yeah, I mean, for the I'll take that one all day. But I will not forget Doc Scott's influence. I will not forget Screw's influence. I will not forget Photek's influence, your influence. And especially Mark and Digo as my mentors. They're
True. 100%.
The ultimate. Yes. And I phone Mark from time to time. And every time I get him, I say, Mark, I get him. He's like, gee. I'm like, yeah, man. I say, Mark, do me a favour. Can you give me the code? Come on, please. And he starts laughing like a Jamaican laugh. He starts laughing and says, come on, give it to me, Mark. And the first time I bust it on him, he goes, what code? I said, the Terminator code. Switch me off, man. I've got to get deprogrammed. I'm done. Because you switched me on and I ain't stopped ever since. I'm like, just give me the, you know, it's like the kind of that scene in Blade Runner, you know, where he's like, I'm done now. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I want to find the maker. And then I'm like, you know, who is my God? And I just want, you know, I want to be around for a few more years, but in terms of the music, I'm like, I just want to, like, I'm not done. But you see, for me, it's all about Cine Tempore and the series where you can see my life. You'll be able to see it in celluloid, and it's the last thing I have to do on this planet for me, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
I hope, touch fucking wood, that I'm going to be here for a little bit longer, and all of us are in good health. We've lost some people on the way, and the biggest internal influence has always been chemistry for the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
My muse, and I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Goldie. It's been lovely talking, and you know, you probably won't hear from me for another couple of years.
I've got to be honest about the ignorance of the fact that I forgot how many times you came to the flag, because Groove was.
No, I did. I really did.
You came a lot. And when you say it now, I remember sitting down on the food and all these things that we went through, and you heard
with Sarah. I came with Sarah a couple of times, and she used to be like, "Please hide Mass," and you used to always go, "He's all right. He's all right." He's like, he's not going to do anything. And once you went to the shop and you went, look, I'm not going to put him in the kitchen. I'm going to leave him out because he was kept scratching off the door. And I'm not joking, right? The whole time, me and Sarah sat down there, and he was just looking at us going, I was thinking, Goldie, fucking, you need to come back.
Well, you know what's really mad? I remember when I forgot the first house, we got the deal, and we got to Bovingdon, and I had him in Bovingdon, and Trenton was you come up there, but Randall, I remember Randall at Bovingdon when he come up, and I go to the shop, and he said he's masking me away, mask like, you know what I'm saying, like, I go to the shop, and Randall, I open the door, and the dog's at the bottom of the stairs, and Randall's in the toilet upstairs going, he won't let me come down the stairs. And I mean, it was one of those things that as a dog, sonically, I always thought when I go like this, like the Metalheads logo, when I put him like that,
yeah,
it was Darren, a guy called Darren Bartlett who did the original design, God bless him, and the Darren Bartlett did the original design. I said just tweak it a little bit, make it a little bit sharper, and we did this. Mass, yeah, it was incredible, Mass, and he was sit in the car with me, and we'd drive everywhere together.
Yeah,
and it would be just like, I mean, even when Timeless blew up, there was this thing with him where we did this big cover in Hampstead, this massive like photo shoot for in a big magazine. It was huge. It was like it was going to be a massive thing. And this guy was driving me, man. I said, listen, I'm going back to Camden. He's like, I'm going to Camden. I said, mate, I can't take you. And before I could say anything, he opened the door of the car and got in the fucking car. And he got in the back. As I was getting in the front, he'd already tried to get in, and he's sitting in the back seat. And I turned around and said, mate. And before I could say anything, I look in the mirror, and Massiv's sitting there, and the geezer's holding his face, and Massiv's just, and he's just got a little.
Oh my God!
And he beat his face, and then he phoned me up. And listen, the geezer's pouring the blood, and Massiv's sitting there with a bit of lip hanging down. I'm like, I told you not get in the fucking car. I told you not to do that. And then 2 days later, I'm at the flat in Dorney. And this guy's the hospital ambulance, he goes to the hospital, the ambulance come, whatever it was. And I'm like, look, he got in on the car of his own accord. I told him what was going to happen. 2 days later, I get this phone call from the geezer. And I can hear the fucking, I'm into Sonics, mate. And I hear the wheels turning of a tape recorder. Your dog bit me. And I did, and I'm like, you know what? Get the fuck off my phone. You got in the car, my own accord. See you later. Goodbye. And that was it. Anyway, that was Mass for you. He was a
massive part of your life as well.
Massive part of my life. And you know what? I said that this year when I re-released the album, I've got his ashes on the piano. I'm gonna go and put them in the sea.
Yeah.
So on that note, I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Goldie. God bless. And anything else you want, man, just give me a shout.